Woodcraft, helping you make woodwork.
And you read through the instructions. The instructions don't actually suggest doing it the way I do it and using a tap and everything to create those threads down inside there. They just tell you to drill a hole and then glue the thing in. Okay, and certainly that would work fine. This just happens to be the method that I like to use. Pardon?
Let the thread on the scoop make the thread.
Well, yeah, and I think that might be part of their intention as well. I've not had, from doing bottle stoppers in the past, and just for everybody's benefit, what Tom and I are talking about is will the scoop itself cut its own threads as you screw it into the hole? And from having done lots of bottle stoppers in the past where I've tried to do that, I've had mixed results. Okay, and so that's why I decided to actually use the tap on these handles, because I think it's a better method of doing it. I think it creates a better connection. But again, now and then Tom was asking, would a wood hardener do a better job than CA glue? Again, having not tried it, I couldn't tell you for sure one way or the other. I would certainly think that either method would work, and neither method would hurt. Okay? Does that help? Does that make any sense? Okay. All right, so we're going to take just the tiniest little bit more off of here. Now, as far as the shape of the handle itself, purely up to you. Whatever you guys decide you want to make that handle look like, it's all in your own imagination. I always like to try to make sure my proportions are close between this portion of the handle down here and the end of the handle. I like to make sure that it's comfortable in my hand, okay? This actually feels pretty good, so I'm going to stop at this point and I'm going to call the shape of the handle good, okay? But we still have this portion down here to deal with, okay? The live center obviously has penetrated into the end, okay? If we were to just leave it like that, no. That's, you don't want that little hole in the end of your handle, okay? So basically what we need to do is to part in past where we think the end of that live center has penetrated, okay? So I'm going to call that probably, let's go right in about here. Now, one thing you'll notice while I'm doing this is that I continually keep the groove that I'm cutting wider than the tool itself. That helps to prevent binding and catching and so forth, okay? You never want to try to go all the way through just that same width, especially when you're using a flat parting tool like this one. The diamond-shaped parting tools just have a very small bearing surface that runs in there, so you can get away with that a little bit easier with those. But with a flat one like this, you always want that groove a little bit wider. Okay. So I've left a little bit of a tenon there, with enough mass in it that it's not going to split apart on me while I continue to work, okay? So now I want to start to do a little bit more shaping on the end of this handle while it's still supported fully, okay? So I just want to do a little bit more shaping work here. So for those of you that are turners already, how many of you does this part scare? You do want to be fairly careful at this point, okay, because you're creating a situation where you have a possibility for it to kind of jump around a little bit. So you do want to kind of take your time. Don't try to cut through too quickly, okay? Just take your time and let it happen, okay? Just take your time. Remember to keep that wider. And there we go. That's all there is to it. Okay, so now what we've done is we've removed that little tenon that that was hanging on for dear life. And trust me, when you get to this point, pull this thing out. I don't know how many times I have stabbed my hand on a live center. Elbows. Bob's pointing at his elbow over there. Yeah. Just pull it out. Get it out of the way. You're done using it. There's no reason to have it in your tailstock still. Just get it out of your way. Put it to the side. Okay, now you can see it's pretty stable. The way it's spinning right now, it's pretty stable. Okay. Once I touch it with a turning tool, though, things are going to change a little bit. Okay. So you've got to. Did I mention you've got to be patient at this point? You can't get in a hurry. Okay. You've got to be real light with the tool. Okay. And this is the part that I always have trouble with. See how it's starting to chatter? You can probably hear it chattering more than you can see it. Another real important thing to keep in mind is you never go beyond center with your turning tool. When you're working the end grain like this, don't ever come over here, okay? Don't ever do that. Bad, nasty things will happen, okay? Bad, nasty things. Stay this side of center. Has anybody ever seen the acronym? Let's see if I can remember it without writing it down. DAMHIKIT. Anybody ever seen that? In a lot of my pen turning classes, I'll write that up on the board. And basically, if you tried to spell it out like a word, it would say damn hicket. Okay? And basically what that means is don't ask me how I know that. Damn hicket. Not that I've ever been there and done that. And those of you that know me know that, yeah, he's been there and done that. What's that?
More than once.
More than once. And certainly, in all likelihood, we'll be there again. Okay, sanding. This portion of it is really not a whole lot different than a bottle stopper or a pen. Okay, it's a piece of spindle work. Okay, so I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time showing you how to sand this because basically I'm sure you all know how to sand a spindle. Okay, but what you can do out here on the very end, where it's actually kind of difficult to turn this with my particular method anyway, okay? If this was held in a 4-jaw chuck, it would probably be a little bit easier, okay? But out here on the end, I like to just sand this while it's turning. And what that's helping me do is smooth out any little rough spots, okay? Get rid of that little button that, is left from parting it off. And just a little bit further refine the shape of the end there. So again, I'm not gonna go through all of the different grits. I'm not gonna go through micro mesh and all that kind of thing with this, because you can see that right now it's chattering a little bit while I'm sanding it. That's okay. It won't hurt anything. You got to use a fairly light touch while you're doing this. Can you see it bouncing up and down out there a little bit? No? Butch says he can. Okay. So there you have it. It's a fairly simple project to do. Again, I'm just going to sand it with the 180 here, just to, because I've probably run way over my allotted time today anyway. There's our ferrule fitted. We'll screw that scoop in there.
Metric or SAE thread?
The thread is 3/8 of an inch by 16. So it's SAE, yeah. And there we go. A CA finish on this would make it almost impervious to moisture and being handled and so forth. A CA finish would be, I think, a little difficult to do on a piece this size. So I would probably, I've used friction finishes on them. I've used the Balin's Wood Turners finish. Any of those kinds of things work just fine. Yeah, especially if you're using a stabilized blank like these. Okay. These have so much glue and resins in them anyway that, just get a good finish on there and that'll protect it probably just about anything, against just about anything. Again, these are not dishwasher safe, okay? So wash it by hand. It should last you for a good long time. There you go. Ice cream scoop. Any other questions?
What kind of wood is that?
Pardon?
What kind of wood is it?
This is a material called Spectraply. It's actually birch. They dye it these different colors, laminate it together. They have a special laminating method that involves heat and pressure. And it's a very, very stable material. It turns, well, pretty nicely, as you saw today. While you're turning it, one thing I've noticed while you're turning the Spectraply, it seems to be kind of splintery while you're turning it. But just the 180 sanding that I gave it, I mean, you can probably see from there that it's much, much cleaner just after a real brief sanding with 180 grit. These will polish up very nicely. They take a nice finish. It's a really good choice of material for a project like this. Pizza cutters, it's another good project for these. Shaving brushes, all of those types of things would really benefit from this material. It's nice stuff to turn. It comes in lots of nice colors. Believe it or not, the primary customer for Spectraply are rifle manufacturers. They use it for gun stocks. So that gives you an idea of just how tough and durable this material is. If it's good enough for a gun stock, it's probably good enough for my ice cream scoop. So anyway, so there you have it. Ice cream scoops using Spectraply for the handle. Any other questions?
That same handle would work on a pizza cutter too, wouldn't it?
The question is, would this same handle work for the pizza cutter? They're made a little bit differently. Yeah, the techniques are very similar. When I make pizza cutters, I actually made a little wooden jam chuck that screws onto my spindle, and the handle goes over that. The handle stock goes over that, and that's how I do that. So it's a similar technique, but they are made differently. So no, I couldn't take this handle off of here and put it on a pizza cutter. No. Anything else? Okay, that's all I got. Thank you guys.
Thank you.